Okay, let me try to describe what the AWS CLI, command line interface, does. So here I am in my sandbox lab right here, and I've launched one instance. And the thing I want to point to is my specific instance ID. So this is a unique number across Amazon, and let's just look at the last 3 digits, 7E5. Okay, so the goal of this task is to issue the command AWS, which activates the CLI. We're going to talk to the EC2 module, and I want to describe -instances. So this is a very specific command that says, hey, connect to my account, tell me all of the instances I have defined, describe them to me. So if everything works right, I'll issue that command, it'll go out and talk to my account and return a JSON file. And a JSON file is just a way to format text. But anyway, what I want to look at is my third object right here. The instance ID is 7E5. So that is describing in text from a command line interface the instance we have up here. And actually, if you look down through that JSON file, it has all kinds of details that reflect the current state of my instance that's defined. Okay, so that's the purpose of this task, and when you can accomplish that, you're done. Now, the rest of the video is going to be to talk about how to make all that happen, okay? So the first thing to do is you need to download and install the client, the AWS CLI client. So let's see, I think I just typed in Google here, download AWS CLI, and I typed Windows because that's my operating system, but Mac would have a client also. So find the right install file, download it, and install the client, the software on your local machine. Okay, then what you would do is you would open up a command line interface. So in Mac, that's the terminal application. In Windows, it's the command, the CMD. The CMD file is the one that launches this command line interface in Windows. Okay, so let me just clear my screen here so we can start. So in order to make sure that the client is working, I'm just going to type in AWS space help. And I think if my client is installed correctly, then I'll get a reply there. So anyway, and I think it's waiting for me to hit the space bar to show more of the help, online help. And I think if I just hit the Q key, that exits out of the help. Okay, so my client is now installed, and I can start to do things with it. Okay, the next step we need to do is we need to tell our command line, our Amazon CLI, we need to tell it its configuration and which account to talk to. And the way you do that is you start by typing AWS space configure, and it will walk you through its configuration. So the first thing it's going to want to know is what's the AWS access key ID. In order for you to do this, you have to have one of your labs or your account up and running. I'm going to go to my sandbox lab here, and remember we had these details when we started our lab. Right now it's asking for this access key ID. So I'm going to copy that to the buffer. So you can either highlight the whole thing or just use the little icon right there. And then I'll switch back, and I'm going to right click and say paste. And it's going to paste that key. The next one says get me the secret access key. So I'm going to go back to the web page here, find the secret access key. I'm going to copy it to the buffer, come back, right click and paste, and hit return. And the next question it's asking us is, okay, which region name are you in? So I'm not quite sure. Let's go figure that out, okay? So let's go back to our let's go back to our Amazon console, right? This is the lab that started when we opened the console. We're now in the Amazon console. If I look up here, it tells me we're in Northern California is the default region. So I think that's what yours will be too. Now I need to get the specific code that reflects that. So I'm going to go back to Google. I'm going to type in AWS region names CLI for the command line interface, and let's see if we have the region names. Let's see if this one tells me right here. Oh, here we go, right here. Northern California is US-West-1. So now I know what to type in. If I type in US-West-1, that is the region that our lab is running in. Okay. The default output format, if you don't have a default there, just type in JSON. If you're interested about what JavaScript object notation is, you might look it up on Wikipedia. It's just a way to format text, okay? So we've run through our configuration now, and we're basically now secure. We have a secure way to go talk to our Amazon account or our Amazon lab that's going on right now. Every time you start a new lab, you'll have to go through that access again. If you are using a recurring account, like you have your own account, then once you configure it, it will remember your account credentials and you can use that. Okay, so I think we're almost there now. So now that I've configured it and it will connect, I want to issue the command AWS, and then we're going to talk to the EC2 service, and we're just going to type in describe instances, describe-instances, and if things go right, it's going to go out and talk to my account and collect what information it has. Let me just cursor back up here, and I'm going to verify again that my instance ID ends in 7E5. And again, if I go back and I look at my instance ID, 7E5. So there I have matched it up. Okay, so this is just a menial task to make this work. The real power of this is that we can issue very complex commands from the CLI that basically automates everything that we do in the console. So I said initially there were 3 ways to configure resources in Amazon. The first one is Amazon console, the AWS console, and we've used that in class. The second one now is the CLI, the command line interface. And I'm not going to do it right now, but very soon I'll show you. I can give you a template where you basically fill out 2 or 3 text fields, save the file, and then give it to the AWS CLI. It goes off and executes it, and it does all the clicking you did in the console. It does it all automatically, or what Amazon calls programmatically. Okay, so that's the second way. Later on, we'll get to the third way, which is using an SDK or something called an API. So we'll get to that soon. Okay, so that concludes this, that we've configured the AWS CLI to ask our lab, hey, describe the instances that are defined right now. Thanks very much.